It's 2 for 1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know. Well, that's what you get when you tune in to the 2 for 1 Jack Show.
So hi, this is 2 for 1 Jack. I'm here with my buddy. We did some filming. What was about possibly 3 months ago?
That was around April, May. Was that when was the firefighters action? Was that March or April? Yeah, it was earlier this year. Definitely in the spring, early summer.
Okay.
And we were at the Rock Bottom Brewery. I think we started in the Capitol for a function.
Okay.
And then for the Capitol or Civic Center part or the City County building, there was an action event. Might have been wage theft, or it might have been.
I think it was the mayor, some of the mayors. Yeah.
That's it. It was Mayor Hancock is a sexual predator. Let's get that on record. That was the one. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So what was y'all guys doing?
So we were there. I gotta say thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you being out here.
Thank you. And you know, ma'am, also, you're always welcome to drop off donations. Well, we were at Occupy Denver. I apologize. But we were at Occupy Denver, and we were protesting homelessness, which is what the button donations go for. You're always welcome to drop off clothing if you have stuff to give away, or if you have a Sunday, you want to bring some family out, teach the kids something, whatever. 16th Street Mall, 9:30 to 11:30. It's a pop-up situation.
Okay.
But I gotta be really clear about 3 things. No single-use water bottles.
Gotcha.
Okay, we do not allow it. We are environmentally conscientious, and we do not create trash when we feed. It's all hand-washed or machine-washed dishes and plates. And
I do the dishes.
She does the dishes.
Yeah.
So we encourage people to bring clothing or food.
Okay.
And it can be cooked crock pots or whatever. We're always welcome to have more people to join, because that's what community looks like.
And how could somebody find
So
you?
you find us on the 16th Street Mall. You find us on Facebook, Boycott the Urban Camping Ban. You can reach that through Occupy Denver as well. But it's autonomous community, so sometimes it's really hard to see the online presences more than it is to go out into the community and find people in public.
Okay, so what happened that day?
Jack,
Yeah.
yes, what happened that day? We went and disrupted business, right? When you want to interrupt, when you have a problem with the way something's going on, sometimes you have to send your message to companies that support certain causes or issues by saying, no, we're going to interrupt your business and stop you from making money. That's what a boycott can be, really a financial impact. So there was a calendar event, fundraising by a business that participates in, it was the Rock Bottom Brewery, participated in the urban camping ban, a law that is makes it illegal to be unhoused in the county of Denver. And when we were there, we were disrupting the opening of the special lunch, where service industry workers with firefighters and ambulance drivers were serving lunches. And we did that to say, wait a second, you know, the issues of homelessness that you refuse to come to the table are really important. We can't just let you keep doing business as usual. What happened was that the Rock Bottom Brewery came out that day and they actually came and talked to us, and they engaged in a process that began to really say, look, we're not against homeless people. We actually have programs internally that, as a business, when our people are struggling and are possibly, you know, on the verge of or are becoming homeless, we help them. We do food waste programs. We got rid of Thanksgiving festivals and fundraising to do things year-round, because we recognize that it's not just about seasonality and holidays. So they really came to the table and said, hey, you know, we want to represent what it is to be an organization that's responsible in the community. And that's what you saw us on that last video. It was a day of protesting, of educating people, of running an active boycott to say this business isn't behaving well. Much like since then, Starbucks got in a lot of trouble for calling police on people who were just sitting there. Right? Now, what happened because of this awareness of latent racism that people have toward one another, and how businesses participate in that? Now, they have to let anybody come and sit down and have water or use the bathroom, shelter in the business, something that never happened before. So, it's about a consistent presence in the community and making a difference by really reaching out and communicating with people one-on-one.
They don't want us to figure out like this is something that's affecting our people. And for me to go to that meeting for the re-entry thing and me be off paper for 2.5 years and go in there and tell the police chief or Furman like, hey, I'm a convicted felon. I'm on the ballot doing this. But it's actually like I'm putting myself in the middle to show that democracy is real. And on top of that is like most politicians are criminals anyway. I'm going to expose the real criminals. So I actually had just Lopez just like come at me like super sideways. And I'm like, I'm not satisfying you. This is about the people of West Denver. So hopefully this goes, and people will see me in DOC, a convicted felon, criminal trespassing times 2, death, and an attempted escape. So I think you told me last time, or the other brother, he's like, get ready to have all the covers pulled and get ready to answer the questions. And the thing that's so good about it is, it's for West Denver, from Sun Valley to Westwood, those are the only people that I focus on. So forget what the Post does citywide, they can say whatever. But everybody knows who I am.
So, sir, who are you, and are you running for office?
David Roybal, City Council candidate, District 3.
Okay.
West Denver, right? I'm not here right as soon as you cross over West High School. From Lincoln Park all the way to Westwood. Yeah, but just putting myself in the middle to test the democracy if it's real, and they're mad because we can't vote or we can't be on the ballot while on parole, but once you kill your number, you got your rights back. So I think when being in the justice system and losing your rights to vote and your right as a citizen makes you appreciate your rights more than anything. And to me, being a convicted felon is modern day segregation because you're not allowed jobs, you're not allowed housing. And so I think it's going to take somebody in the situation I've been in the struggle and had every door closed to just tell everybody they're full of shit, because politicians are full of it. Like I was there when Lopez spoke for Michael Marshall, reading that 75-page report, and for me being there and watching him and making sure that he does his job and always to be citizen. I've been involved with City Hall for like 4 years, so. And the reason why I like City Hall more is because when you're in the State House, lobbyists just make you want to. Oh yeah, them people are just so. How they're getting paid all this money to use all these studies, and it's like we can't even get $5,000, not even $1,000 for community organizing to buy food for in translation. And I feel that that's what we need as a society. Is we need more, civic engagement. Because when you have the people that are going through the problems, it really shows the true nature of the situation instead of Robin Kniech with her little political talk. Like, when you hear her talk, it's just like, oh my God, like you never even been in the jail. Like I grew up in the era where the last wire was fading out, where if you had a problem with a police officer, we can't speak about this, you take the badge off and we'd handle it like men, but now it's and to me, I feel it was better because when you went in the Denver County Jail, if you wanted to be a tough ass and you wanted to be about that life, the downtown jail is just a human daycare. I mean, it's too easy. It's just, you don't learn no lesson to me. And you're in the Denver County Jail, like, you say, hey, if you go with the sheriff, like, you're going to go taking showers right now. They let us handle our business, but is it a good thing? Because back then we were learning morals when the sheriffs let us handle our business, but now, since the sheriffs are just so, the last thing, he's slamming dude in the elevator, I'm going to see the video. I mean, is it a good thing? Because back then, see, there was still street respect, street law between officers. That if you had a problem with the officer, I mean, duke it out.
Sir, can you introduce yourself and the organization you represent?
Yeah, my name's Alex Landau. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for Colorado Criminal Justice Reform Coalition. We focus on the elimination of the overuse of the criminal justice system. One second. In 10 years, we've closed 6 prisons in Colorado, 4 of them being private. Most recent, Kit Carson, we've passed roughly 40 pieces of legislation in different assets or different capacities that impact the criminal justice system. We've moved roughly $70 million, primarily out of the Department of Corrections budget, through a variety of different processes, and reallocated that right back into the communities most impacted by the criminal justice system. But just to echo some of the other sentiments that were said, I think we are in an era where people are recognizing the expertise through their experience. If you haven't experienced something firsthand, you will be less qualified to discuss it as an expert when you are in the same arena as somebody who has lived it firsthand. And we are now, I think, beginning to recognize that folks who do not have that personal experience should not feel as though they are qualified to hinder somebody else's truth based on their lack of understanding of their personal experience. So I say all of that to say, to be in this work right now, whether you're running for office, whether you're involved in social justice movements or some level of activism, right now we are at a pivotal moment for the consciousness and understanding of what real community prosperity can look like. And for us as an organization, that begins with us rethinking about what tough on crime means, rethinking strategies on public health and safety, and understanding that individuals who are barriered by the criminal justice system or communities that suffer from economic disparities really should be offered resources, or we should be having a conversation around how do we open up access to resources, because a subsequent result of that is crime will naturally decrease.
And how come somebody get in touch with your organization?
So our organization, Colorado Criminal Justice Reform Coalition, ccjrc.org, we're at 1212 Mariposa in the Denver Inner City Parish. And also one other thing that we are focused on significantly for the time being is our district attorney races in 2020, our local races here in Denver in 2019, and in 2018, this year, November 6th, our governor, our attorney general, our secretary of state, most of our judges, half our Senate, and all of our House representatives will be up for election. These are people that draft, craft, and pass laws that impact the experience of people in confinement, their reentry plans, and also their experiences in the community. So in Colorado, you can vote as long as you are not in confinement for a felony conviction that includes jail, prison, halfway house, or on parole. So we encourage people who have a criminal background in our off paper, or people who have rightfully so been jaded to the political process, to get with our organization or get with an organization, get registered to vote, and really understand your political power. Yes, it's corrupted, but there are people in places like Zimbabwe, Guatemala, Ethiopia, where it is obviously visibly corrupted and people disappear. But yet these people in these impoverished conditions still manage to travel miles and miles and miles simply to exercise their vote in a political process known as democracy. So we encourage people in Colorado, in the United States, this land of privilege, in comparison to these other countries, to exercise a right that has been given to them.
Not live in or die from poverty in the richest nation ever to exist. Blaming the poor and claiming that the United States does not have an abundance of resources to overcome poverty are false narratives used to perpetuate economic exploitation, exclusions, and deep inequalities. We recognize the centrality of systemic racism in maintaining economic oppression. We must name it, detail all the details, and expose them empirically, morally, and spiritually. Poverty and economic inequality cannot be understood apart from a society that is built on white supremacy. We aim to shift the distorted moral narrative that is often promoted by religious extremists in this nation from issues like prayer in school, abortion, and gun rights to one that is concerned with how many our society and how many of our society are poor and how we treat the poor and those on the margins. The least of these, women, LGBTQIA folks, workers, immigrants, the disabled, and the sick, equally, and equality and representation under the law and the desire for peace, love, and harmony are within us and need to be within our nations. We will build up the power of people and state-based movements to serve as a vehicle for a powerful moral movement in this country and to transform the political, economic, and moral structures of our society. We recognize the need to organize at a state and local level. Many of the most regressive policies are being passed at state-level governments, And these policies have long and lasting effects, past even executive orders. The movement is not from above, but from below. We will do our work in a nonpartisan way. No elected officials or candidates get the stage or serve on the state organizing committee of the campaign. This is not about left and right, Democrat or Republican, but it is about right and wrong. And as part of this, and being effective at tackling these big subjects, we uphold the need to do a season of sustained moral direct action as a way to break through the tweets and shift the moral narrative. We are demonstrating the power of people coming together across issues and geography and putting our bodies on the line to the issues that are affecting us all. And just so you know, if you're not somebody who can do that, there's still a place for you. There's many things in the background, people who need their pets fed and coordination that needs to happen. So those of us who can will, but please, don't consider yourself excluded if you can't do some of that work. The campaign and all of its participants endorse and embrace nonviolence. Violent tactics or actions will not be tolerated. So that's the place we start from as we try to build this movement. I think that it's really incredible because I really believe intersectionality is the only way that we move forward. There's a climate scientist who has told us we have 5 years to end oil and gas if we want to survive as a species. And the only way I can see to do that is if all of the warriors of all of these causes come together, show up for each other, and solve a whole bunch of things at once. And so I am so glad to see all of you here, and I will do my best to bring more people next time. I hope you will do the same.
That was awesome. I can't follow that up. My name is Steve Mendoza. I'm involved as an organizer. I'm involved to make the changes that we want to see, and because I get to work with people like Amalthea. I'll just speak for 1 minute. The Poor People's Campaign in Colorado will be working on both immediate local issues that affect the most disadvantaged here in Colorado, but it will also, at the same time, it'll be part of the national movement, which has a goal of bringing about large-scale systemic changes to our society. I got involved because I believe in everything it stands for, but also because I think that it could be a unifying movement to unite the poor and the working class in a common struggle to overcome an unjust and illogical economic system which by design makes a few people rich while it exploits and ignores the needs of so many. A better world is possible. So to that end, I would like to see everyone here that agrees with our demands to get involved with this movement and to stay involved with this movement until we achieve the justice that we seek. The Poor People's Campaign will be focused on addressing That's it. Here's what I need everyone to do. What I would like everyone to do is please fill out a pledge card or on that business card that I passed out to many of you, and I'll come around and pass out a few more. There's a tiny URL at the very top where you can go to fill out your information and get involved in any way that you can. As Amalthea just described, some of us will be, we'll have more time on our hands, or we'll be more capable of doing more. But please get involved in any way that you can. And as Amalthea said, we need an intersectional movement like the Poor People's Campaign to actually achieve the changes that we seek. So thank you for coming, and I hope you stay involved. Thanks again.
Thank you, Steve and Amalthea, for talking about the Poor People's Campaign. So one of the things that was mentioned is that we think that there are things that are right and left and liberal and conservative, but there are some things that are right and wrong. And one of the wrong things that exist in our city right now, and even in other cities across the state, is that we criminalize homelessness. And so So one organization that has done a lot of great work to address this issue is Denver Homeless Out Loud. So I want to invite them to come up and talk about a lot of the work they've done, including the right to survive.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Colorado Poor People's Campaign 2018. My name is Benjamin. I'm an organizer with Denver Homeless Out Loud. We work to get the voice of the homeless community out to the general public and to fight for the rights of those who are stuck out on the street. Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival. 25%. Does anybody know what that number is? Quarter? 25% is the vacancy rate of all the luxury apartments that have been recently built here in Denver, Colorado. So apparently, as a moral city, we have the ability to serve the rich and give them more than they need, and yet we have a need of 37,000 affordable units, and that doesn't even get into the public market, which is where the homeless community is concerned. Got my notes all turned upside down here. So we have 37,000. We have a need of 37,000 units and 25% of the luxury apartments that are vacant, and we got people sleeping in the park out here every night. How many people are familiar with the murders that happened a couple of weeks ago? Those folks were in a camp just off of 6th and Broadway. Those folks at that camp were doing just fine. They were protecting each other. There were several people there. That camp got swept repeatedly by our police. Those people scattered. Some of them who scattered went further out from the city, went to a more remote, more dangerous place, and as a result, they wound up becoming the target of a very violent crime in which they died. They were killed. This is what happens when we criminalize our homeless population and send them out to different parts of the city. First, we keep them out of places by keeping the rents too high. Second, we continually send the police to hassle them night in and night out. And then, after getting closed off to places that are public places, this park, Civic Center Park, this is a public park. Should be shared by everybody. But the police will run the homeless out of here every night. So, if we're going to call ourselves to a morality, we need to consider the pass we're giving to the rich and the police that we're sending to the poor. You guys may have heard of the Right to Rest Act, which is some state legislation that Denver Homeless Out Loud has sponsored at the state capitol the last 4 years. The Right to Rest Act basically says people have the right to sleep in public spaces, as long as they're not encumbering anything or being a danger to anybody. Have a right to share food in public spaces. Have a right to sleep in a legally parked car. And have a right to reasonable expectation of their personal property. All of which is illegal here in Denver right now. The only thing that's illegal for a homeless person to do is to walk. You can walk and not get ticketed. You stop, you rest, you sleep, you eat food, you're at risk of getting ticketed, moved along, or having your personal property confiscated. The extremists who will try to put their morality on top of the homeless community will say the homeless community is lazy. But the numbers say that 60% of the homeless community is working. So that 60% of that community that can't afford a place to live, and they're working. And one more thing that might be a little hard to hear, and it called a moral revival. We have thousands of people sleeping on the streets here in Denver, Colorado, just trying to fight to get to another day. They get swept and swept from public places and private places. The way the camping ordinance is written is people can sleep on private property if they have the permission of the property owner. We have 450 churches in this city. Lots of them have beautiful manicured lawns that remain empty. You would think in a city with a need like this that they'd invite half a dozen people to stay on their property, a safe place. Like the folks that were at 6th and Broadway, keeping each other safe, keeping things taken care of. As it is, they're scattered and at risk of violent crimes. Well, I'm not sure where to go here from there, but that's part of what the Poor People's Campaign is about, is to push our communities to have a moral response to the way we treat our poor. And I'm going to pass that on to the next person.
So if you live in Denver, you should see the Right to Survive initiative on your ballot at some point, thanks to the many people that have been passing around petitions. One such person in the back over there waving. If you have not signed the petition.
I forgot something, it was that. Since we've had problems passing the Right to Rest Act at the state level, we're running a ballot initiative to take the vote away from the state legislatures and put it into the vote of the people. And that's the Right to Survive Act that he's talking about. Right now we're in the process of collecting signatures to get on the ballot. And if we get enough signatures and get it on the ballot, you can expect next May for the community in Denver to be able to make their voice on that. So.
Yeah, thank you again. So please vote yes on that initiative when you see it. And Denver Homeless Out Loud is one organization we want to continue to collaborate with. And when it comes to the sweeps, as these continue to happen, we have the intent, if they continue to happen, to take direct action as they take place. So if you are interested in getting ready for civil disobedience and that notion, please join our campaign. Thank you. The next group I would like to introduce that does a lot of really great work is the Above Waters Project. And so I want to introduce Reverend Tammy Garrett Williams, who deserves a lot of credit herself for all the other work that she does with the NAACP, with Above Waters Project, and so many other organizations and efforts. So, Reverend Tammy Garrett.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone that's out here today. This is very important. This is a very important movement that is not only going on, as you know, here in the state of Colorado, but going on across this nation. And so I bid you greetings from the Above Waters Project, as well as the NAACP Denver branch and the NAACP State Conference. So again, I'm Reverend Tammy Garrett Williams, the CEO and founder of the Above Waters Project, and the State Conference Secretary for the NAACP for the state of Colorado, Montana, and Wyoming, our state area conference. Today, as we gather for the launch of the new Poor People's Campaign in Denver, we reflect on unfinished work of the Poor People's Campaign that was started by Dr. King and carried on by his wife and life partner, Coretta Scott King. Today, as we gather, we also acknowledge the game-changing work of
2 for 1 Jack, splat, just like that. Bringing you tons of information, that's where he's at. He goes around town covering topics you'd like to know. Well, that's what you get when you tune in to the 2 for 1 Jack Show.